Hello, everyone. Welcome to week number 8, our final week together in Biology 120. I'm kind of sad about that. I hate to see you go, but I know you're off to bigger and better things, and you're on your way to completing your degree and then having a new career somewhere out there in the world. And I hope all of you who are doing environmental science are going to make this world a better place, and you'll see why we're going to need that as we look at the topic this week. Before I move off of this slide, back in 2019, I went whale watching off the coast of Massachusetts, Gloucester, Massachusetts, and took a picture of this humpback whale. They are the most beautiful, magnificent creatures on this planet, and we didn't interact with them in any way. You don't feed them, you don't touch them, anything like that, which I admire very much. I think that's how it should be. But they are just amazing creatures. And if you're looking for something to watch in the next week or so, sorry about that. Look up Patrick and the Whale. It's a PBS documentary about a fella named Patrick who was always interested in whales, and he decided that he would study them and go find them out in the world and swim with them. And that's what he's done. And he makes two very, very special friends along the way, Dolores and Can Opener, two female whales. And he tells the story about his work and how he has interacted with whales. It is just absolutely fascinating. I highly recommend that show for you. Sorry, still got a little touch of laryngitis here. Last week was a week about ecosystems, which ecosystems had to do with almost everybody's presentation. So yeah, I know that you were all working really hard on your final presentations on your topic. But literally everybody's presentation has something to do with ecosystems. Whether you were looking at microplastics or you were looking at global climate change, right? Yeah. You had that, each and every topic has something to do with ecosystems. This week, chapter 45 in your OpenStax textbook, that free textbook that you have access to, check through chapter 45, read through it, because you're going to need information in it, and it's all about population ecology. So a population is members of the same species that live together in a particular time and place. Your chapter doesn't quite give you the time element, but that's really important. Now, the time can be the whole history of mankind on the planet. It can be all the time that humans have been on the planet. Or for bacteria, it can be studying bacteria in a culture over 24 hours, something like that. So it's members of the same species living together in a particular location at a particular time. And population ecology is studying populations of different types, different species, everything from endangered species to species that overrun our neighborhoods, like white-tailed deer, coyotes. Now we're getting armadillos in South Carolina, feral hogs. We've got all sorts of critters that cause all kinds of problems for us, but also endangered species and lots of other species, plant species too. So take a look at population ecology. Read over the Module 8 overview, and it's very, very, very important this week to watch the video on the human population. I have watched that thing so many times. It is absolutely fascinating. You can watch the video. You can also go to the interactive map and stop it at any point to take a look at what you are interested in. So that's kind of interesting too. This video is an eye-opener about the human population. And before I move on from this, I want to say one thing. So I'm 67 years old. I know, that sounds old to you. That's not old to me, but anyway. When I was born, there were 2 billion people on this planet. Now, today, when I'm 67 years old, there are over 8 billion people on the planet. In my lifetime, which is a short period of time in human history, we have quadrupled how many people there are on the planet. We're looking at 9 billion people in the year 2054. Now, the estimate used to be 2050, so we moved up 4 more years, but still, that's only 30 years away. And some of y'all are thinking, 30 years, that's so long. No, it's not. Once you get out there in the work world and you work every day and you take care of your family and you pay your mortgage and you pay your electricity bill, you're going to turn around and 30 years will be here before you know it. So, this is really important for everyone to think about. We are definitely overpopulating this planet with human beings. And things that happen because of this overpopulation, we get pandemics. Hello, COVID. Yeah. Widespread disease that causes, with new diseases that causes death. That's why we had a pandemic like COVID, because there's so many people on the planet. You only have a journal entry this week. I know at some point during this term I've talked about the discussion board postings in week 8. You don't have them. We used to, in terms past, when I used to teach this course, we had discussion board postings in week 8. And they have eliminated those, which are okay with me because I've got enough to grade with those final presentations. So anyway, you have one assignment this week, and that is a journal entry. You're going to discuss exponential growth. So exponential growth is basically population doubling over and 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 over again. And this is very easy to see with bacteria. And since I'm a microbiologist, it literally is very, very easy to see and to monitor and to count. But you're going to discuss why you can't have exponential growth forever in any species, including bacteria that take up very little space. Why can't you have exponential growth over a period of time? And that's why you need to go back to chapter 45 and take a look at it, because it discusses that. Review the meaning of the human population map. You absolutely have to figure out what those yellow dots mean. You have to understand the way that the map works. You have to look at the events that happen in history, which are very, very interesting. Look around the 1300s and what happens with the plague or the Black Death, especially in Europe. Take a look at the population map during that time, because that's very interesting. So review the meaning of the map. And you're going to be discussing the consequences of the human population reaching 9 billion people by the year 2054. What does this mean for human beings? What happens when we get more and more people on the planet? Well, there's a bigger fight for resources, right? And what does fighting mean? That means war. Because I want to take the stuff that you have so that I and my people can use those resources. That's the whole meaning of war, really. Excuse me. Can't talk. But also, what is it going to mean for the environment? I know that I see that in my area right now. There is so much growth around where I live. All the people who work in Charlotte come across the state line and live in neighborhoods around where I live. And every little patch of woods that we used to have has been knocked down, and they're building gigantic apartment complexes there. So what are the consequences to the environment because of all these people and another 1 billion people on the planet? What are the consequences of this? And should we be thinking about this? How can we stop this? How can we stop the problems? What are we going to have to do? We're going to have to think about it. If you don't think about it, your children will be thinking about this. I promise you that, because this will affect them greatly. It is coming. It is coming so fast. It is just unreal. So take a look at your journal entry requirements. Make sure you cover all the parts of it, because there's a lot of discussing to be done in this one. And then you've got a couple of little cleanup things to do. Course evaluations. You'll be getting course evaluations, and I encourage you, please, please, for me, please fill out your course evaluations. That helps my team lead and my dean know how I'm doing and how the course is doing. It really is beneficial to me if you fill out this course evaluation. So I ask you if you would please take the time to do that. It doesn't take that long. And the last thing that I need to remind you about is that the last day to turn in anything in this course is Sunday, March the 3rd at 11:59 p.m. When the clock strikes midnight, the course closes, and you cannot upload anything else into the course, and you can't send it to me to upload because I can't either. All I can do is grade for the next couple of days. So make sure you have everything turned in. If you haven't, and you think that you want to ask for an incomplete, remember I told you last video that you have to have 70% of the work in the course successfully completed in order to ask to get an incomplete. An incomplete gives you an extra month to get that last work done. So if I can't check off that box, because I'll look back to see if you completed 70% of the work successfully, if I can't check off that box, the registrar will not let you take an incomplete. I'm just telling you that. That's one of the requirements. But if you're thinking about one of those, please talk about that with me as quickly as possible. m.sigmon@snhu.edu. I'm here to help you. Just let me know if you're having any issues whatsoever so we can figure out what to do in these last few days. By the way, that's a pileated woodpecker. Aren't they beautiful? I hope that you have a wonderful week this week, and I'll be talking to you later in the week. All right, have a good week.